my heart away, went a bit too far, so wrong. Oh no, open up my soul, but babe, how could I know you're cold? Shame on you, should have seen what you were like, dangerously nice. You got me all lost, so blinded. You got me all lost, listen to my heart. I gotta be lost, survived it. Now you're all gone, 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 my friend. Oh Lord, I guess you fooled me once, but I ain't falling twice. All lies. Oh Lord, I ain't gonna run. My rise has just begun. I'll shine. Shame on you. Should have seen what you were like. Dangerously nice. You got me all lost, so blind. You got me all lost, listen to my heart. I gotta be lost, survived it. Now you're all gone, 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 my friend. Big old girls will come around. I'm still walking, I'm still proud. I never lost it, I never lost it, I never lost it, baby. Big old girls will come around. I'm still walking, I'm still proud. I never lost it, I never lost it. Big old girls will come around. I'm still walking, I'm still proud. I never lost it, I never lost it, I never lost it, baby. Big old girls will come around. I'm still walking, I'm still proud. I never lost it, I never lost it.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I could stare at you for 100 years and I never blink an eye. You were beautiful, just like a flower. I could walk with you for 1,000,000 miles and my feet would not get tired. Where you go, I'll go, winter or summer. I don't care the seasons change, 'cause darling, I'll stay, I'll stay, I'll stay right here with you. Every night and every day, 'cause darling, there's nothing in this world I'd rather do. Never been this close to heaven, never felt something just like this ecstasy. Never been this close to heaven. I don't know if this is real or fantasy, or somewhere in between, or somewhere in between. Oh yeah. You could fall asleep for 100 hours and I wouldn't miss a thing. I would keep you safe while you were dreaming. You could scream and shout, cry 1,000 tears, and I wouldn't let fear win. What you feel, I feel. Together we're healing. I don't care the seasons change, 'cause darling, I'll stay, I'll stay, I'll stay right here with you. Every night and every day, 'cause darling, there's nothing in this world I'd rather do. Never been this close to heaven, never felt something just like this ecstasy. Never been this close to heaven.
Hello all. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to a very, very special edition of HBCU Sports Live. I'm Ken Rashad, and I am joined with the usual cast of characters, minus one, Kendrick, who is going to be joining us later. But gentlemen, I've got, oh, by the way, I've got with me Chris Stevens and Jared Hoffman. Gentlemen, this is not necessarily the day we've been waiting for, but this is probably one of the days that I think a lot of people have been waiting for. The day that we announced the nominees for the inaugural HBCU Sports Awards, scheduled to stream live on July 27th. And we do have a time. We will be streaming that event will be streaming live on Saturday, July 27th at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to repeat that, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, okay? The inaugural HBCU Sports Awards scheduled for July 27th. Now, before we get into the revealing who the nominees are, you guys know what I'm about to say. If you haven't done so already, by all means, take a moment, go to HBCUSportsAwards.com, make a donation. Just to kind of bring you guys up to speed, we've raised about $6,000 so far, but our budget, as far as expenses goes, it's about $7,500. Okay, so there's still time to donate, and just so you guys know, regardless of what the amount may be, whether it be $10, $20, $100, $500, your donation will give you VIP access to the back room that we will have during our live stream, and this will be the area where many of the nominees and will be viewing the show, as well as you having access to be with them in that area. And so that will be a very special private area that you will have access to, and you will obviously be able to interact with the individuals who are nominees and so forth. So take a moment. Go to HBCUSportsAwards.com, donate, and look, we really appreciate it. This is history in the making. We have been doing this for hours, and so hopefully, we hope you like what we've gotten. One other thing, let me just simply take the time. Let me take the time to thank those sports information directors, athletic administrators who were cooperative in making sure that they provided us with the information we needed, whether it be recommendations, suggestions, or even suggestions for nominees for various categories. Thank you so much, because we couldn't have done it without you. Do know that, okay? So, gentlemen, are you ready?
We are ready.
All right. So let's go to the nominees screen. And we will start with our very first list of nominations. These will be for the HBCU Sports Awards for Women's Soccer Player of the Year. And I'm telling you guys now, for you moms and dads out there whose children are going to be, who are probably among those who have been nominated, I'm going to tell you now, forgive me if I butcher their names, okay? I charge it to my head and not to my heart. I'm just saying, there are going to be some names on here that we're going to struggle with, and I just want you to know, just give us a little grace, okay? So, Women's Soccer Player of the Year, the nominees are Kendall Terrell of Jackson State, Trinity Knox of Howard University, Brisha Nasunga of UAPB, Aria Whitney of Grambling, Giovannia Cogetto of Shaw, and Lucy Schroeder of Xavier. All right, next category. Let's see here. We've got our women's volleyball players nominee for Women's Volleyball Player of the Year, Jada Rhodes, Alabama State, Ryan McKinnon of Howard, Madison Jones of St. Augustine's. Najala Williams of Virginia State, Fatima Ramirez of Edward Waters, and Zaire Pretty Garrett. You were pretty good with that, Jerry. What was her name again?
Was Zaire Pretty Garrett?
There you go. Okay, so I did pronounce it right. Okay, Fair enough. All right. So those are the nominees for Women's Volleyball Player of the Year. Okay. And of course, all of this information will be published on the website immediately following the live stream. All right. Softball Player of the Year: Victoria Fletcher, Morgan State; Mia Nunez, Prairie View A&M; Haley Darrington, Virginia State; Mariah Williams, Fort Valley State; Laura Haskins, Stillman; and Onika Spencer, Tennessee State. Those are the 6 nominees for Softball Player of the Year. All right. For Baseball Player of the Year, you gentlemen want to, any of you, Jared, I'll let you do the honors of this. Can you see the screen?
Well, actually, since baseball was Chris's stat.
Oh, that was Chris.
Category.
Okay. Chris, you want to take this one?
Sure thing, I can handle that. Our baseball nominees for Baseball Player of the Year: Allie LaPreed from Alabama State, who was SWAC Player of the Year, by the way; Cameron Buford from Grambling, who of course is Grambling's all-time home run leader; Jonathan Logsdon of Albany State; Evan Bolden from the Delaware State University; Chris Morris of West Virginia State; Jamil Williams of Virginia State; Chris Larkin from Bluefield State; and Miguel Oropeza from Talladega College.
Those are the, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 nominees for Baseball Player of the Year. All right, moving on. We've got 45 categories, so we're gonna make this quick, and we'll comment a little later. All right. So we moving on to the. Moving on. There we go. Bowler of the Year. Yes, we are acknowledging bowlers as well. Who did bowler? Whose category was that? Okay, you know why I'm giving you this one.
Yes, because of the names. Sure thing. All right, your HBCU Sports nominees for Bowler of the Year are Lauren Tomaszewski from North Carolina A&T, Lyric Osteen from Alabama State, Paige Rockwell from Fayetteville State, Jalen Rogers from Southern, and Brooke Roberts from Maryland Eastern Shore.
All right. Man, you knocked that out with no problem. All right. Defensive Football Player of the Year. All right. This might create some conversation. Terrell Allen, Tennessee State; Isaiah Major, Florida A&M; Willie Drew, Virginia State; Kenny Gallup Jr. of Howard; Lobert Danellis of Benedict; and Jaden Broughton of Benedict. Gentlemen, I'm sure you guys have some comments. What say you about the nominees for Defensive Football Player of the Year?
Well, this is Jared's category, so I'm going to let him go here first.
Yeah, this was my category. And first of all, since we're talking about football, what's up to Andrew Body's father, who's in the chat watching along with us? Terrell Allen, I think that was pretty self-explanatory. The Buck Buchanan Award winner, just a fantastic season for Tennessee State last year. Isaiah Major, the defensive anchor for the SWAC champion and Celebration Bowl winning Florida A&M Rattlers, was involved in some controversy and whether or not he should have been SWAC Defensive Player of the Year. But if you guys saw my outlining of why he deserved the award, I definitely think that he was warranting of that award, and he is warranting of being in this category. Willie Drew, the CIAA Defensive Player of the Year, and just a ball hawk for that Virginia State defense, a part of that tremendous secondary, had something like 5 interceptions this year for Virginia State, and definitely deserving of being in this category. Kenny Gallup Jr., the MEAC Defensive Player of the Year for the MEAC champion Howard Bison, was just a big-time playmaker for the Bison, that defensive leader for that team, just put the defense on his back and had them nearly winning the Celebration Bowl, pulling off that upset. And it was a big part of their upset win against North Carolina Central. And the Benedict boys, Lubert Danellis and Jaden Brogdon, just tormenting offensive lines in the SIAC all season. Lubert Danellis was named the SIAC Defensive Player of the Year. But if you look at Jaden Brogdon's stat line, he would have been warranted of that award as well. And I believe that if you look at their numbers, then you would know why they're both in this category and why they could possibly take home the award. Any of these guys can take home the award. This is going to be a tough category to argue because all these guys had tremendous seasons, and yeah, I'm excited to see who takes that one home.
Okay. It is very important for us to make this clear because just to many of these categories were individuals who were either recognized for being player of the year in their respective sports by their respective conferences made the nominations category by default. There were may have been some additional players added, but for the most part, we wanted to make sure that we acknowledged and respected the body of work or the selection of those conferences who did recognize such student athletes in various sports for being player of the year in their particular sports. We felt that it was only right that we continue to respect what those decisions would be with respect to naming those individuals for our respective awards. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of put that out there. All right, so that those are the 6 nominees for Defensive Football Player of the Year. The next category is for Offensive Football Player of the Year, and those individuals are Davius Richard, North Carolina Central; Isaiah Freeman, Lincoln University of Pennsylvania; Jeremy Musa, Florida A&M; David Wright III of Allen; Ladarius Owens of Texas Southern; and Joe Fielder, West Virginia State. And I know that Jared, you again pay pretty close attention to this particular category. Your thoughts?
Yeah, another category that was tough to pick. Both of these football categories, Defensive Player of the Year and Offensive Player of the Year, there's a lot of guys that, you could say per se were snubbed,
Yeah,
and that you
yeah,
could say the same for this offensive category. Davius Richard, arguably the best player in HBCU football this year, was the Deacon Jones Trophy winner for North Carolina Central, fell short in their quest for a back-to-back MEAC titles and back-to-back Celebration Bowl titles, but an incredible offensive season for North Carolina Central. And if not for some injuries, could have won one or a couple of games in the FCS playoffs. Isaiah Freeman led Lincoln to what was close to being their first season above 500, and since they've returned to football in the CIAA, was absolutely incredible for Lincoln. And Jeremy Musa, the SWAC Offensive Player of the Year out of Florida A&M, again the Celebration Bowl champion. Florida A&M went through his struggles throughout the season, but made plays when he needed to, and yet absolutely warranting of that award. And for being in this category, David Wright, another guy who had a breakout year for the Allen Yellow Jackets, who, congratulations to them, and Edward Waters are officially Division II members
right.
in the SIAC. And David Wright now at Clark Atlanta, but this is a part of the 2023-2024 athletic season, so he will be nominated out of Allen. And Ladarius Owens, an incredible season for Texas Southern. It wasn't a great season as a team for Texas Southern, but Ladarius Owens was unstoppable out of the backfield for Texas Southern. Had something like 1,200 yards, 1,300 yards out of the backfield for Texas Southern. And he is going to be sorely missed from that offense for them. And Joel Felder from West Virginia State. Not a lot was talked about from, we tend to talk about the big schools when we talk about HBCU football. The SWAC and MEAC are always going to get that attention. But if you did not get to see Joel Felder this season, he was absolutely incredible. He broke the single season record for rushing yards and rushing touchdowns in a season for West Virginia State, was warranting of being the MEC Player of the Year, but unfortunately he didn't get that. Was a part of the MEC all MEC first team, and currently I believe in the transfer portal. I'm not sure if he's returning to West Virginia State. Haven't seen him, give any updates about his status. So, but he would, if West Virginia State got him back, that would be a welcome addition for them. And again, this is another category that I'm excited to see who comes out with it. A lot of people would think that Davius Richard would be the favorite for this award because he gets the most, coverage for them. But don't count out some of these guys in this category. They had incredible seasons, and again, I'm very excited to see who comes away with it.
Okay. Guys, for those of you who are online watching us right now, do me a favor. We've already asked you for donations, but this particular ask will not cost you anything. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and it will help us quite a bit as we continue to mull through this list. Okay, on to the next list of nominees for Women's Basketball Player of the Year. Diamond Johnson, Norfolk State. Is that Anila Bryant, Fayetteville State, Ariana Grizzle, Florida A&M, Grayson Kerr of Kentucky State, Kiera Willer, Norfolk State, Angel Jackson of Jackson State, Maya Buchanan of Fisk, and Jordan Dorsey, North Carolina A&T. Any comments from any of you two regarding the nominees for Women's Basketball Player of the Year?
Another one of my categories. Another one of my categories here. Diamond Johnson, there was a lot of hype surrounding her, when she committed to Norfolk State. I believe she was coming from NC State, missed the first about 10 games, due to eligibility issues. But when she came and was finally eligible and she stepped on the court, she did not disappoint, was absolutely incredible, was warranting of the MEAC Player of the Year award, despite not playing a full season, got Norfolk State to a MEAC title and to the NCAA tournament. It was just an incredible season from her, and I'm excited to see her in a full season with Norfolk State with another nominee who we'll get to later. Anila Bryant out of Fayetteville State. If you did not tune into the CIAA this season, you missed out on a dominant season by Fayetteville State's women. 27-3 in the regular season, coasted through the CIAA champion to the CIAA championship, not without some resistance from Elizabeth City State, but Anila Bryant was a incredible two-way player, arguably the best two-way player in all of HBCU basketball last season. An incredible semifinal performance against to knock out Virginia Union. Just an incredible player, and got to the Fayetteville State to the regional final in the D2 tournament. So her place on this list is self-explanatory. Ariana Grizzle out of Florida A&M, with just an incredible individual season for Florida A&M, and has not been very good for Florida A&M in their first couple of seasons in the SWAC, but Ariana Grizzle was a bright light for them this season, and in the future of Florida A&M could be very bright. They're trending in the right direction, and Ariana Grizzle was a great part of that. Grayson Kerr out of Kentucky State led Kentucky State to an incredible season, 20-plus wins, and a deep run in the SIAC tournament. Kiera Willer, another part of that Norfolk State team, was the MEAC Player of the Year this year. Just an incredible in the post, just absolutely dominant with that 1-2 punch of her and Diamond. And she could be getting some WNBA looks very soon. So her and Diamond. So stay tuned to that. Somebody who was drafted out of the WNBA draft this season was Angel Jackson, the last pick of the draft for them, this two-time reigning SWAC Defensive Player of the Year, coming from USC, and has some. I believe she was signed recently to an overseas team, so congratulations to her. Very warranting. She has great size and is imposing down low, so I envision that she's going to have some success. Maya Buchanan out of Fisk. I know that the D2 level doesn't get talked about enough. The HBCU AC, which was then the GCAC,
Right.
they had some good hoops as well, and Maya Buchanan was a part of that. Just absolutely dominant. I think she got put herself on the map because I believe she had something like a 30-30 game, 30 points, 30 rebounds.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Which is just ridiculous, like Shaq-like numbers, like Wilt Chamberlain type numbers, and Fisk was, I believe they lost to Rust in the championship game, but had a good enough season to warrant an NAIA tournament berth. So she could get some consideration for this award here. And finally, Jordan Dorsey out of North Carolina A&T was selected to the All CAA first team. And what was a pretty good season for North Carolina A&T. It was looking like for a while that North Carolina A&T could have won the CAA and punched their ticket to the NCAA tournament, but ultimately fell short. But it was a pretty good season for Jordan Dorsey. This is another loaded category that could go either way. And I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm looking forward to see how this one goes.
Okay. Before we move to the next category, to the list of nominees, let me take the time out right now because he's on. Ellis Connor, I know you are there watching. Brother, thank you so much. Ellis Connor was one of our gold donors. And I want you to know, I acknowledged you on yesterday, and I want to take the time right now and give you your flowers and say thank you so much for sowing the seed and what we're trying to do here. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. And I've never met you, but by all means, if for whatever reason I'm in your part of the woods, drinks on me, okay? But thank you so much, Ellis Connor, for your donation and your contribution to the HBCU Sports Awards. It really means a lot. Thank you so much. All right, on to the next category. Men's Basketball Player of the Year. This is pretty loaded as well. Jamari Thomas, Norfolk State. Anthony Roy, Langston. Ken Evans Jr., Jackson State. Jalen Alston, Winston-Salem State. Chris Martin, Clark Atlanta. Jamal Gibson, Suno. Chad Moody, Alabama A&M.
This was my category, so I can take it.
Yeah. Okay.
Just real quick, Chris. I know this is your category. I don't want to take this over, but there's one nominee in this category whose story that you need to get familiar with, and that is Jamal Gibson. This was his first year of playing collegiate basketball at 26 years old, and look up his stat line because it is insane for somebody who is in his first season of playing collegiate basketball. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, that's an excellent lead-in. Yes, this is another category that is loaded. I mean, Jamari Thomas was probably the best. Well, he was the best guard in the conference for Norfolk State. Of course, he has entered the portal and gone somewhere else. But for the purposes of this award in this season, he is a Norfolk State Spartan, and he led the Spartans to the regular season championship, even though they were eliminated by Howard in the MEAC semifinals. But another successful year for the Spartans. Anthony Roy, if you didn't follow Langston this year, oh, man, heartbreak. They were 60 seconds away from the NAIA National Championship, and we don't like to place blame around here, but the officiating was a little spotty in that game, and I'll just leave it at that. Ken Evans Jr., another portal person, but a very dominant performance for Jackson State in the SWAC this year. Jalen Alston had a pretty good year for Winston-Salem State, and Chris Martin led Clark Atlanta to the SIAC Championship. The aforementioned Mr. Gibson, who is definitely going to get some attention just from the fact that he's to be a newcomer and dominate the way that you have, like the first year playing organized college basketball is phenomenal. And Chad Moody is a freshman sensation from Alabama A&M, and that program, you have to think it's on the rise with that beautiful new building and another nominee because of another nominee that we'll discuss later on in the show. So men's basketball is in a great state, in great hands in Black college basketball, and we are looking forward to giving you guys that award this year.
All right. Let's move on. Women's Cross Country Runner of the Year. That's right. We are covering cross country. We're acknowledging athletes in the cross country space. I am not going to try to pretend to announce these winners, these nominees, but we'll just simply say that we have nominees from St. Augustine's, Benedict, Norfolk State, Alcorn State, Fayetteville, and Philander Smith. I am not, hey, I respect them too much, and we'll keep it at that. All right, just keep it moving. Men's Cross Country Runner of the Year. Representatives from Virginia Union, Morehouse, Norfolk State, or two from Norfolk State, Alcorn State, and Xavier. Women's Golfer of the Year. Morgan Horrell of Howard, Katie Robinson of Bethune-Cookman, Kendall Jackson of Howard, Bamboo Kitty.
Kitty Anyuruat.
Oh, there you go, man. Look at you. Alabama State, Emily Main, Howard. What's that one now? You got one? Go ahead, Chris. Give it a try.
Kathy Gunasegar.
Lincoln, my man. Lincoln University, Missouri. And is that Aaron Marcelino of Tennessee State? Those are the nominees for Women's Golfer of the Year. For Men's Golfer of the Year, Gregory Odom Jr., Howard, Jose UAPB,
Baron, yeah.
Everett, there you go. Everett Witten Jr. of Howard, Marcus Taylor, Florida A&M, Michael Stangby.
Stang by, we'll go with.
Stangby. Okay, we'll go with Kentucky State, Trevin Willis, Virginia Union, and Kunakorn Kang of West Virginia State. Those are your nominees for Men's Golfer of the Year. Women's Tennis Player of the Year. Who did this?
I did.
Okay. You want to give that a try okay. All right.
So here are your nominees for Women's Tennis Player of the Year. Sophia Tricina, MEAC Player of the Year from South Carolina State. Anya let me get myself together because I can do this. Antonievich, CIAA Player of the Year from Shaw. Zaina Shaban, SWAC Player of the Year, Jackson State. Rebecca Gaines, Florida A&M. Natalia Ogunwale from Albany State. And Mabali Langa from Xavier, Louisiana.
My man. See, I appreciate your effort, Chris. I really do. Good job. Men's Tennis Player of the Year. We've got David Jean Grandinot. Alabama State.
We'll go with that because that sounds rather French and Haitian.
We got right.
Jean Grandinot.
There you go. We've got representatives from North Carolina Central, Tuskegee, North Carolina Central again. North Carolina Esteban Lopez, North Carolina A&T, Julius Hale of Xavier, Taj Hebert of Tennessee State, and Neil, is that Monet of Tennessee State? Monnier? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Those are
brother with the last name held at a school like Xavier. Very interesting.
Those are the 7 nominees for Men's Tennis Player of the Year. All right. Women's Track and Field Athlete of the Year. Leslie Young of Norfolk State. Miss Myrna Seward, is that Seward of Fayetteville State? Michaela Carroll.
Seward.
What's that?
Smyre Seward. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I told y'all, man. My apologies to you parents out there. Brianna Brown Marshall, Florida A&M. What's this? Mishina Toot Mutodu of Wiley, and Sylvia Anderson of Prairie View A&M.
Savoria.
I give up. Sylvia Anderson of Prairie View A&M. Thank you, sir. Those are the nominees for Women's Track and Field Athlete of the Year. For Men's Track and Field Athlete of the Year, Caleb Snowden, UAPB, Marcus White, Virginia State, Michael Tatnall of Voorhees, Seth Alexander of Xavier University of Louisiana, and Rajan Ricketts, Benedict, and what's this? Is that Malachi Aiken, Maryland Eastern Shores. Okay. Those are those are the nominees for Men's Track and Field Athlete of the Year. Okay. Women's Track and Field Runner of the Year. This is for the distance events. All right. Yvonne Sundai, Norfolk State. Shamia Jones, Alabama State. Irene Jeptu, Fayetteville State. Zanae Rainey, Albany State. Christina Fitzpatrick, Prairie View A&M. Tasha Benjamin, Alabama State. Jocelyn Crosby of Howard. That rounds out the nominees for Women's Track and Field Distance Runner of the Year, if you will. Men's Track and Field Runner of the Year, Asa Francis of Coppin State. Jose Gonzalez, Texas Southern. Jalen Brownlee, Virginia State. Brian Kamai, Morehouse. Jaden Cole of Wiley. Desmond Kerwa of Virginia State. Those are the 6 nominees for Men's Track and Field Runner of the Year. All right, let's keep it moving. Women's Track and Field Sprinter of the Year. We've got 2 from Lincoln University, Missouri, and Shantae George, Odeshina Nathan.
Odisha Nathan.
Oh, my goodness. You know what? You want to take this? You want to go ahead and do this? You can finish it.
Sure. Okay. Kaylee Collins from Howard.
Okay.
You got Naya Blocker from Florida A&M. You got Malaysia Johnson from St. Augustine's. We got Cavell Bird from Dillard and Annalise Torian from Alabama A&M.
Boy, you've been practicing. You are great, Jared. I love you, man. Thank you so much for bailing the brother out. Okay, those are the nominees. The 7 nominees for Women's Track and Field Sprinter of the Year. Congratulations. All right. For Men's Track and Field Sprinter of the Year, Jamarian Stubbs, Alabama State. Terrell Robinson Jr., St. Augustine's. Kebron Moore, Albany State. Jason Holmes, North Carolina A&T. Jamal Morris of Dillard. And Sherem Hamilton, Lincoln University of Missouri. Those are the 6 nominees for Men's Track and Field Sprinter of the Year. Let's keep it moving. Female Student Athlete of the Year. Now, these are individuals who've not only excelled in the field of sports, but also in the classrooms. We have 6 in that particular category for female. They are Katie Robinson of Bethune-Cookman. She's a golfer. Kendall Terrell, Jackson State for soccer. Is that Anai Harris? Bowie State?
Ani Harris.
Okay. You would know, wouldn't you?
I mean, only the greatest HBCU in the world. Just check the papers; they all talk about
okay.
it. Okay,
That couldn't be right. Is she a softball player?
she is a basketball player.
Basketball. That's what it is. Okay, women's basketball. Okay, all right. That's right. Okay. Michaela Carroll, Albany State, track and field. Morgan Price of Fisk in gymnastics, and Jodisa Peterson, Edward Waters, softball. Gentlemen, any comments regarding our list of stellar student athletes?
We'd like to remind everyone involved that this was an intensive process with a lot of hands involved, not just the 3 gentlemen you see on the screen and the 4th who is absent. We got a lot of feedback from SIDs, folks who nominated different athletes, and we took everything into account, as such as, performance on the field, in the classroom, any other intangibles that the folks that nominated these fine athletes have shared. So again, we came up with 45 categories, and when you average 6 people a category, that's 270 people. So we have done an awful lot of work in trying to make sure we've, put a lot of people, put as many people, deserving people in these positions as possible. And it seems like these young ladies, from all the research we've done, are very deserving. I mean, you have a national champion gymnast in there. You have a couple of you have quite a few first team all conference athletes. You have a couple of conference players of the year in this category. So not only are these young women great in the classroom, they're great at their sport, which is obviously why we call it the student athlete of the year, because we want to make sure the kids put the student part before athlete.
Right.
So
right,
I feel like this is a great, group of nominees.
And the one thing you're going to notice about these categories, excuse me, but you're not going to see any MEAC nominees. The reason why they did not make their all academic teams available, so we didn't have any information to go off of to put any MEAC players in the category.
Right.
So, because to reiterate, this is a student athlete award. We take GPAs, we take all academic team selections into account. It's not just what you do on the court. So although you have people who were named MEAC Player of the Year on the men's and women's side for the MEAC, we don't have their GPAs available, so we don't know about their work in the classroom along with their work on the field. So if you're wondering why there are no MEAC nominees in these categories, that is why, because the all academic teams and their GPAs were not made available.
All right. Let's move on to the male student athlete of the year nominees. Caleb Snowden of UAPB, Dalen Lee of Winston-Salem State, Mitchell Romig, is that right?
Romick, probably.
Romick, okay, of Benedict, Miguel Oropesa of Talladega, Jose Gonzalez of Texas Southern, and Cameron Buford of Grambling. Those are your 6 nominees for student athlete of the year, or male student athlete of the year. Okay, so that rounds out the categories for the student athletes. Now let's move on to the coaching categories, and we start with baseball coach of the year. Anybody want to take this on?
I could take this since this is my category. Davin Pierre of SWAC champion Grambling State. JP Blandon of the Delaware State University, who just recently retired. Congrats, Coach Blandon. Jamie Shoup of Florida A&M. Michael Robertson of Texas Southern. Scott Hemmings of Albany State. Drew Bailey of Bluefield State. And Marcos Dominguez of Talladega.
All right. Those are the 7 nominees for Baseball Coach of the Year. Moving on to Bowling Coach of the Year. Kim Terrell Kearney of North Carolina A&T. Barry Doyle of Southern. Roger Petrin of Maryland Eastern Shore. Andrew Chapman of Alabama State. James Washington of Virginia Union. And Robert Henderson of Fayetteville State. Okay, those are the nominees for Bowling Coach of the Year. Moving on, Cross Country Coach of the Year, Inez Turner, Fayetteville State, Willie Hill of Morehouse, Kenneth Giles of Norfolk State, Clyde Duncan of Texas Southern, Garfield Ellenwood II of Florida A&M, and Cameron Lewis of Philander Smith. Those are the 6 nominees for Cross Country Coach of the Year. All right. Here's the big one. Who wants to take this one?
Well, this was me. So we got Big Willie Simmons of Florida A&M, down there in Duke now, but it led Florida A&M to the Celebration Bowl this year. Finally got over that hump in the SWAC, winning the SWAC title. Dr. Alvin Parker, another team who got over the hump, winning their first CIAA championship in, I believe, 15 or 16 years. Dr. Alvin Parker out of Virginia Union. Chennis Berry, now in the MEAC with South Carolina State, but at Benedict led them to back-to-back undefeated seasons and back-to-back SIAC championships, both the first 2 in the team's history in Chennis Berry. Larry Scott out of Howard led Howard to their first outright MEAC championship since 1993. They were co-champions with North Carolina Central the previous year, but a 50-20 win guaranteed that they were going to be the only ones that went away with the MEAC championships. And speaking of North Carolina Central, Trey Oliver, although he was not unable to come away with the MEAC championship, led North Carolina Central to another excellent season where they were dominant on offense, led by, as we said, Davius Richard, as the MEAC Player of the Year and the Deacon Jones Trophy winner, and Quinn Gray Sr. out of Albany State led Albany to the SIAC championship game in his first season as head coach in what was a loaded SIAC. You could have populated a whole list of SIAC coaches that deserve to be in this category, but it's Quinn Gray and Chennis Berry who are nominees out of the SIAC. This is going to be another one that's going to be pretty hard to call, and I believe I know who that is. But the Football Coach of the Year was a hard category to pick, and yeah, I'm curious to see who comes out of this one.
Well. Look who popped in. Kendrick Marshall,
How y'all
the
doing?
head guy of HBCU Sports. Kendrick, welcome, brother. We appreciate you. All right, man. We Kendrick, we've already completed the student athlete categories. We are just starting the coaches categories, and we've just named the 6 finalists for nominees for Football Coach of the Year. We're moving on to Golf Coach of the Year. There, what 3? We're like 9. Is that 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 nominees for Golf Coach of the Year. Mike Rice of Florida A&M, Roger Totten of UAPB, Sam Puryear of Howard, Lee Coble, Virginia Union, Mike Grugan of Kentucky State, Harry Stokes, Bethune-Cookman, Quincy Hurd of Alabama State, and Cortland Ware of Lincoln University of Missouri. Moving on to Women's Basketball Coach of the Year. Kendrick, I will let you do the honors of this one if you'd like.
Yes, Women's Basketball Coach of the Year goes as follows: Tamika Reed, Jackson State, not UNC Charlotte; Larry Vickers, Norfolk State; Tyrese Brown, Fayetteville State; Pete Osmond, Miles College; Tynesha Lewis, Elizabeth City State; And rounding it out is Eric Jackson Jr. of Russ College.
You gentlemen have any comments regarding this particular category and these nominees, list of nominees?
Yeah, this is
This is
another one
Jared's
of my
thing.
categories. And of all the categories I had, this is the hardest one. Look, I know y'all look at Tamika Reed and what she did for Jackson State and say that, oh, she's a shoe-in. But if you followed Fayetteville State this season, if you followed Rust this season, if you followed Miles this season, you would know that this is not an easy category to pick, and it's not an easy category to nominate. Tamika Reed, we all know what Tamika Reed has did for Jackson State. Congratulations to her, moving on to I believe UNC Charlotte. Just absolutely spectacular. Excuse me, another undefeated season in conference play for them. Another SWAC championship. I believe that's 3 in 5 years for them. Larry Vickers, as we said, led Norfolk State to another MEAC title and a dominant season led by Diamond Jones and Kier Willow on the field. And he has been on the rise for a while now and is staking his claim to be the best basketball coach in HBCU basketball. Tyrese Brown led Fayetteville State to the as we said before, the regional final of the D2 tournament, and a CIAA championship after a 27-3 regular season. Pete Osmond of Miles led that team to their first ever SIAC tournament championship. It just went through a loaded field there, and Tanisha Lewis led Elizabeth City State to, I believe it was either two or three at CIAA championships in a row. They won one in between, but lost this year to Fayetteville State. She has now moved on. I forget which school she's at now. I believe it's UNC Asheville that she's at now. And Eric Jackson Jr., he's now at Edward Waters, but for Russ last year, he led them to, I believe it was their third straight or second straight GCAC championship. So this is a field full of winners, and this is not at all a lock for any of these coaches.
All right, we're going to move on to men's basketball coach of the year. It doesn't get any easier. Dante Jackson, Grambling, Kenneth Blakely of Howard, Chris Wright of Langston, Jason Armstrong, Lincoln University of Pennsylvania, Robert Jones, Norfolk State, Alfred Jones, Clark Atlanta. Gentlemen, floor is yours.
This was my category. So
yeah.
This is you've got winners upon winners upon winners. Dante Jackson, of course, led Grambling to their first NCAA tournament appearance, and of course they won, which is important. I mean, they always stick the HBCUs in the first four, thinking we're going to lose. Nope, they beat Montana State 88-81, and they hung with big Zach Edey and Purdue for a half in the Indianapolis region. So Coach Jackson has done a wonderful job. He's been a wonderful coach across HBCU's basketball period because his previous stops were Stillman and Central State. He was successful there.
Yep.
And now he's got Grambling, calling themselves a basketball school, and he's correcting that assessment. Kenneth Blakeney of Howard, second straight MEAC championship for the Bison. Unfortunately, they went through my Delaware State Hornets to do it, but a tremendous job by him and his crew. And I believe they'll be back there next year. Chris Wright of Langston. He's going to be on the short list of not just HBCU D1 coaches, but D1 coaches next year. Because Langston, once again, was 60 seconds, 1 minute away from the NAIA championship, but they got robbed by the refs. But Chris Wright has done an outstanding job in Langston. And if they win a championship this year or next year, he's definitely going to be, one of those coaches that these schools back the truck up for if they're trying to improve their basketball program at a D1 level. Jason Armstrong of Lincoln, this is an awkward one. He led the Lions to their first ever not their first ever CIAA championship, but it's probably been since, generations. But the first time Lincoln has ever made the NCAA tournament in the men's basketball field. And the school moved on from him after the season. So So this is good. I mean, but while he was at Lincoln, he did great things. So he gets the nomination. Robert Jones of Norfolk State. We already know his resume, but I think the biggest thing that Robert Jones did this year was lead his men into a lion's den of demonicness known as Illinois State, where his players were being called the N-word and everything else. And I think if I had a vote, I would vote for Coach Jones on the strength of that, because he told that half-pint coach from Illinois State where to go and how he could get there. And you need a coach that's going to stand up for your players like that. And Coach Jones, he did what he did to protect his players, and they won that game, which was great too. So salute to Coach Jones. And Alfred Jordan led Clark Atlanta to the SIAC championship and an NCAA Division II tournament appearance. So this is a tough category. Winners all around, stories all around. Going to be interesting to see who comes away with that trophy.
All right, those are the 6 nominees for men's basketball coach of the year. Moving on to soccer coach of the year. It would be Justin Wagger of Grambling, Dr. Ted Flogates of Jackson State, Randy McClure of Shaw, Brent, Leba of Howard? Leba of Howard, Jeremy Fontenot of Southern, and Ashley Cordero of Xavier. Those are the nominees for soccer coach of the year. All right, gentlemen, moving on. Softball coach of the year. Mercedes Hargett of Coppin State, Larry, Heinlein of Morgan
Yeah, we'll
State,
go with that.
Zadasha Waddell of Lincoln University of Pennsylvania, Rufus Green, Fort Valley State, Joe Penfield of Stillman, Vernon Bland, Prairie View A&M, and Camise Patterson of FAMU. Those are the nominees for softball coach of the year. Moving on. Tennis coach of the year. Harold Moore. Winston-Salem State, Rochelle Houston of FAMU, Hernan Guria of Jackson State, Gregory Green of Tuskegee, Hardip Judd of South Carolina State, Anouk Christians of Alabama State, Gregory Green of Tuskegee, Dejan Bivens of North Carolina A&T, and then, of course, Alan Green of Xavier. Those are the nominees for tennis coach of the year. For track and field coach of the year, Victor Thomas, Lincoln University of Missouri, Clyde Duncan of Texas Southern, David Oliver of Howard, Kenneth Giles of Norfolk State, Inez Turner of Fayetteville State, and then, of course, now Legania of Dillard. Those are the 6 nominees for track and field coach of the year. All right. Women's volleyball coach of the year, Lauren Ford, Edward Waters, Lawrence Rather, Fort Valley State, Rose Washington, Jackson State, Tim Walsh, Coppin State, Jordan Polk of Shaw, and LaShonda Spurgeon of Talladega. Those are the 6 nominees for Women's Volleyball Coach of the Year. We continue to move on. These are the for the categories of the athletic administrative categories. That was the final. The last list was the final category for the coaches. Now these are for the administrative categories. And this is one that we thought was pretty interesting. We decided, and this was a suggestion actually. Who suggested this? Was this whose idea? Was it mine?
Jared.
It was Jared's. So, Jared, I'll give you the pleasure of doing this one.
Best social media presence. This is the greatest HBCU in the history of HBCUs, Bowie State University. Check the research; it is true. Florida A&M, Kendrick School, Jackson State, Tuskegee, Ken School, Grambling State, Stillman College, North Carolina A&T, and Howard. Just to let everyone know what the qualifications were for this. This is not just Twitter. This is not just Instagram. This is every social media app. This is TikTok. This is YouTube. This is about, promoting your school. This is about stepping your game up. This is not just about posting flyers. We like schools that, do highlight tapes, that do hype videos. That's a big part of promoting your school, not just promoting yourself as a university, promoting yourself as a brand. And we love to see schools that take an investment in their athletes, their athletic programs. And I thought it was important to highlight the schools that take that extra effort into, promoting their athletic programs as brands. All of these schools are tremendous nominees in this category. I think everybody knows who I'm going to go with. Obviously, it's no
We
question.
do.
I mean, of course, Stillman College. No, I'm just playing. Yeah. Just I love to see schools taking an investment in, promoting themselves through social media. So I felt like it was important to not present this as a category.
All right. All right. Let's move on. Okay. So if we go from best social media presence to broadcaster of the year. Now, this is going to be a tricky one. Okay. And we will be the first to admit that we probably could have. There was some cute confusion with respect to how we would go about naming the nominees for Broadcaster of the Year. But as of now, the five nominees for Broadcaster of the Year are Charles Edmond of Alcorn State, Rob J. of Jackson State, Santoria Black of Grambling, Michael Trujillo of Bethune-Cookman, and then, of course, Ross Gordon of Norfolk State. Those are the five nominees for Broadcaster of the Year. Let's just simply say that the lines of communication probably weren't clear in terms of what we were looking for with respect to that particular category. Of course, when this is all said and done, we will provide survey sheets to all of those with the intent of obviously getting feedback of where we got it wrong, things that we can improve on for next year and so forth. But this is the inaugural year. We didn't have a whole lot of time to plan, but do know that we hope to make this event much better, and of course we hope to improve upon it as we move forward. Okay, so those are the five nominees for Broadcaster of the Year. Sports Information Director of the Year. This is the individual who displays excellence in the category of sports information and the relationship that these individuals have with members of the media. This is not an easy job for the individuals who hold these titles, and they get a lot of flack for stuff sometimes that they may or may not necessarily deserve. But we thought that this was a category that was worth the time to create and to acknowledge those individuals who we thought were the very best at what they do in this particular in this particular space. So the nominees are Andrew Glover of Wiley, and that is Wiley University, by the way, not Wiley College. Jolisa Williams of Bowie State, Josh Padilla of Florida A&M, Derek Bryant of Howard University, Bryant Howard of Alabama A&M, Ryan McGinty of Texas Southern, and Chris Meganson of Stillman. Gentlemen, your thoughts on this particular category of all?
Yeah, like a lot of us work with these people because we're looking for information from them about their particular school, a comment, a statement. And like Ken said earlier, it's not always easy for these folks to do their job because they have to be responsible for like so many sports and are pulled in many different directions. And it's kind of hard to balance the day-to-day operation of being an SID. And so these are the people who are kind of like the front line of all of this. Like all these athletes and coaches that we're nominating for awards, a lot of us wouldn't know about them or their achievements without these people right here. So shout out to them for the hard work they do all year round in sports, in college sports especially. There is no break, there is no off seasons for them. So while we're summer break, summer vacation, these people are working for preparing for fall sports, preparing for football, preparing for soccer, preparing for basketball, preparing for whatever sport they are responsible for. So I think we got a good group here, a variety of people from different universities, different levels. So this should be a good category.
All right. Moving on. We've got just a few more left. The next category would be for Conference Media Relations Director of the Year. And this is, for the most part, similar to sports information, but this is for those media relations individuals who work at the conference level and are responsible for disseminating information among the membership within their respective conferences, as well as taking on media inquiries and so forth. Again, this isn't an easy job. And of course, this was, highlighted for the individuals primarily of the five HBCU conferences that we have. And those nominees are Tanya Walker of the CIAA, Danny Wright of the GCAC, which is now known as the HBCUAC. And the only reason why we're using GCAC because that is what it was known as during the last calendar year. Okay, so that's just so you know, we are fully aware it's the HBCUAC. but it was known as the GCAC during the time in which we are recognizing individuals for their work and accomplishments. Patricia Porter Mayfield of the MEAC, Jamonte McLeod of the SIAC, and then, of course, Andrew Roberts of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Those are the 5 nominees. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, for your nomination. It gets crazier. Here we go. Next one. Conference Commissioner of the Year. This is pretty obvious. But Jackie McWilliams of the CIAA, Dr. Kiki Baker Barnes of the GCAC, Sonia Steele of the MEAC, Anthony Holloman of the SIAC, and Dr. Charles McClellan of the SWAC. I guess this in and of itself is pretty self-explanatory, but then I've been somewhat critical of individuals who criticize these individuals for what they do as commissioners, because I am a firm believer that a lot of people who criticize these individuals for what they do don't really appreciate, nor do they really know what the day-to-day responsibilities of a conference commissioner are. So I guess this is an obvious. This is obvious in terms of who the commissioners are, obviously. But gentlemen, your thoughts on the nominations for conference commissioner?
Like you said, it's not an easy job. I mean, we can sit here and armchair quarterback about what a conference commissioner could do, especially in the case of the MEAC, since we're down to 6 football schools and 8 member schools. But the conference commissioner's job mainly is that of a commissioner of any professional league, and that is to keep your membership group happy. And you rarely hear of any complaints from any of these folks in the membership groups. Like HBCUAC, I feel like Kiki Baker Barnes has done Dr. Barnes, has done a phenomenal job of rebranding that conference and getting everybody on board with what that represents. And Dr. McClellan has done a great job in bringing the SWAC out from the doldrums of, shall we say, previous leadership. And we'll leave it at that. Commissioner Stills at the MEAC doing a great job as well. Same for Commissioner Holloman. So this is a group of people who are entrusted with making sure that their conferences maintain the proper branding, proper spotlight, and make sure all the member institutions are happy. And it seems like for the most part, everybody's happy where they are. So great job by those folks. And we're very much looking forward to giving one of them their flowers on July 27th.
And I think also the important thing for these conference commissioners is to be transcendent and to transform the conference from in a better position than what they were in the previous year. And you could say that about all of these commissioners. Jackie McWilliams continuing to build the CIAA tournament in basketball to what it is. They've just found a new venue for their football conference championship in Durham, North Carolina now. Dr. Kiki Baker Barnes, as we talked about, is transitioning the GCAC to the HBCUAC. They just posted their numbers for their television viewership or their streaming viewership for their conference championships, and it is wildly improved from over the previous year. Sonia Stills, a lot of people, preyed on the MEAC's downfall in the past couple of years, but she has kept that conference afloat and actually elevating them to the point where we're talking about the MEAC being among the elite conferences in all of athletics. The Anthony Holloman of the SIAC, you cannot go to any premier event without seeing his face. He is always having FaceTime and is always, bigging up his athletes. And it's not, there's never a big or small event that he is not present and giving importance to every single event that his conference hosts. And Dr. Charles McClellan, obviously a part of, what is it, the NCAA tournament board or the NCAA?
He's the chair.
The NCAA tournament chair.
Yeah.
So, and advocating for the SWAC and, the Celebration Bowl, the SWAC's involvement in the Celebration Bowl, and, advocating for better positioning for HBCUs to be in the NCAA tournament, and he has been very transcendent. And we all know the SWAC to be most would say the powerhouse of HBCU conferences. So these are all people who have been transcended and has transformed their respective conferences. And they, although it's self-explanatory that they're in this discussion, they all have a case for why they should be the conference commissioner of the year.
Indeed. All right. A few more left. Next one. Athletic Conference of the Year.
This is going to be fun.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. Again, with respect to the commissioners, a case could be made for each of these conferences in terms of what they've been able, or what the members of their conferences have been able to achieve. And again, this isn't just about athletics and wins and losses. This is also about what these student athletes are able to do in the classroom as well. So while the nominees may be obvious, the selection isn't necessarily an easy one. So any additional thoughts before we move on to that? From that,
Every conference has a case. It feels like. I mean, we have Howard. I mean, yeah, we have Howard making the winning the two front porch events in the MEAC, and of course having a great social media presence and just being Howard University to lead the MEAC. The SWAC, of course, they've made great strides thanks to Ken's alma mater, Grambling. The CIAA is consistent year in and year out. The SIAC is a sleeping giant among the HBCU 5, I feel like. I mean, we just now have the HBCU 5 now that the HBCU AC has rebranded. But I feel like the SIAC gets kind of lost in the shuffle because they're mostly D2 colleges in sleepy remote outposts. And that's not to be disrespectful to Atlanta, of course, which is the Black Mecca. But when you think about, Albany and Fort Valley and, Tuskegee and Fairfield, Alabama, you don't consider those places to be, college sports hotbeds. But that's what you have here, in the SIAC. And I think they deserve a ton of credit for what they've been able to accomplish. And, they have 18 member schools and being able to form that out in a way that there's no weak link in that chain is very impressive. So feels like any one of these conferences could have a say in that award. And it's going to be very interesting to see who comes out with it.
3 more categories left. Let's go on to the next one. Athletic Director of the Year. The nominees are, I know, right? Dr. Karen McCarty, University of Virgin Islands. Paul Bryant, Alabama A&M. Dr. Ivana Rich of Edward Waters. Jasher Cox of Allen. Tony O'Neill of Claflin. Ashley Robinson of Jackson State. Kerry Davis of Howard. And Mickey Allen of Tennessee State. Gentlemen, I'm telling you, man, you only got to pick one, all right? Congratulations to the nominees for Athletic Director of the Year. But man, oh man, anyone.
Yeah, like all of these candidates are very, very strong. I mean, you got Mickey Allen, Tennessee State. He's bringing hockey to black colleges. Talk about baseball coming to black college again at Tennessee State. Got Ashley Robinson, all the great things he's done for Jackson State. And not only just on the field, but like behind the scenes with like fundraising. And then you have a lot of projects that were completed or close to being completed because of his work. Karen Carty took over at the University of Virgin Islands, the first woman to hold that post there. She came from the MEAC, actually.
Right.
Paul Bryant, Alabama A&M, they've made a lot of strides in their program under him. Jasper Cox at Allen, they've been great too. A lot of good candidates.
I was going to say, just he basically made the transformation to go from NAI to Division II.
Division II. Yeah. Just announced this week, like September 1st, they're going to be officially a D2 program in all sports.
Yeah. So those are the 8 nominees for Athletic Director of the Year. Congratulations to you all. We will find out who the winner is on July 27th. The next category is Athletic Program of the Year. The nominees are Alabama State, Howard, Fayetteville State, Talladega, Xavier, and Benedict. And this, who just left us? Oh, okay, here he is. Okay, so this was, one of those categories that was kind of like by default. Alabama State was named, it received the Commissioner's Cup for the SWAC. Howard received honors from the MEAC, Fayetteville State, Talladega, Xavier, and Benedict. Xavier, while they're not a member of a particular conference, the athletic programs did well. And we couldn't ignore their accomplishments. We couldn't ignore the accomplishments of Talladega, and Benedict also did well within this particular conference. So that is going to be a big one. Anyone who wants to comment, floor is open.
We're missing one, King. We're missing Bowie State. I don't see Bowie State up there anywhere. Where's Bowie State?
I was very upset
Man,
that Bowie.
don't scare
I
me,
fought
man.
very hard for Bowie. So Bowie, if you don't see yourself in a category, it's because I didn't fight hard enough. These guys. Look, if we're being honest, they kind of bullied me into not putting Bowie State in a lot of categories.
Wow, really? That's what we doing now?
You don't see. No, I'm just kidding. No, this is an interesting category because there's a lot of conferences that had a lot of parity. So it really says a lot if you're in these categories, because that means that you were excellent in the majority of the sports within your conference. So Talladega was recognized by the GCAC. Fayetteville State was obviously recognized by the CIAA, or Howard recognized by the MEAC. Bama State recognized by the SWAC. Benedict was recognized by the SIAC, and Xavier, as you said, they're not a part of an HBCU conference, but if you've noticed that they're in a lot of these categories, it's because their athletes, were very transcendent throughout this season and had a lot of excellent seasons throughout their sports. So definitely warranting of being in this category. It's interesting to see what kind of approach we take to the winner of this award. Any of them could potentially win it, and they would all be deserving.
Okay. We got one more category left, but again, for those of you who are watching, take a moment, go to HBCUSportsAwards.com, make a donation. As I told you, we're still about $1,500 short. We've raised about $6,000 right now. We've got about $7,500 in expenses to pull this off. And so there's still plenty of time for you to make a donation. Get your name on the donor wall. You'll be forever known as a charter donor. This is history in the making, folks. We're almost there, and we're just 2 weeks away. July 27th, scheduled to stream live at 2 o'clock Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. So go make a donation, and you'll be glad you did. All right. The final category, and by the way, what we've presented to you isn't necessarily in any particular order, and this isn't necessarily the order in which they will be presented during the show. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty certain they will not. But just wanted to make you aware of this. But here's the final category, people. And this is not so much a category, but as much as it is the recipients. And this was not easy. But we have decided to give Lifetime Achievement Awards to one male and one female who basically have a body of work of just achieving, as the name indicates. These individuals have just dedicated years and years in their respective craft to either a particular school or multiple schools. And in this particular instance, the Lifetime Achievement Award for female will go to long-term Tennessee State Athletic Director Teresa Phillips, and of course, George Williams, who was the iconic track coach at St. Augustine's. Thank you, or congratulations, Ms. Phillips and Mr. Williams, for your Lifetime Achievement Award. You will be acknowledged on Saturday, July 27th. Hopefully we'll have you on, and we'll be reaching out to you both to see if we can possibly get you on during that time. Make sure you receive your flowers, okay? Gentlemen, any final thoughts before we call it a wrap?
Again, this is first of a kind for Black college sports. You sat with us through 45 categories, and we thank you for doing so. And we're very much looking forward to having y'all not sit through, but enjoy the award presentation that we have for you. I mean, I can't give it away, as they used to say on The Living Color. That's a little taste. Got to pay for the rest. But if you will join us on Saturday, July 27th at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time. That is 9 a.m. for you Hawaiian folks out there. I mean, we may have some people who are watching in Hawaii. We don't know, but we could. But please know that this is the first of a kind for Black college sports. We were thinking about, there are so many great athletes and administrators in this space, but they don't get the necessary flowers from everybody. I mean, yeah, you have your conference awards, but There needs to be something where the media and everyone who covers this space shows these people their proper respect. And that's what we are proud to bring to you guys. This is the first we've ever heard of doing one, and it's the brainchild of our guy Ken Rashad. So, and we've been banging the drum about this. Like he said, we're $1,500 short. I mean, we're gonna pull it off regardless. Even if I gotta start selling fish plates out the back of my house, we're gonna do it. With your help, this can be the greatest first HBCU Sports Awards ever, and it won't be the last because we'll be doing this again in perpetuity because it's clear that there's a audience for it as donations and people have been asking about nominees and things have gone. So this is going to be great. We look forward to bringing it to you guys. With your support, it can be something that can outlive us all.
Kendrick, any thoughts? Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, just echo what Chris saying. I remember Ken Rashad calling me 7 years ago to pitch this idea to me. And I'm thinking, like, how in the heck are we going to pull this off? There's a volume of categories, a volume of athletes and coaches, and administrators we have to like think about and go through and evaluate. And 7 years later, we're on the cusp of making that dream come true. And so I'm just happy, number one, that we were able to pull it off. And number two, I'm pleased that we are allowing sharing our stage to honor athletes and coaches and administrators who really make Black colleges go. They're the front porch of the university in a lot of ways. And so, with that being said, it's a no-brainer that we honor them in some kind of way. I mean, it's not the ESPYs. This is not some big-time production, but like it's the least thing we can do to show our appreciation for all the work that they've done, not only for their own schools and athletes, but for us too in this media space too. Like without them, there is no us. So it's time like we give back to them too.
Kendrick, that is a nice cap. Where'd you get that cap from?
Funny you mention that. I got this cap from our store on our website, hbcusports.com. You can click on our store tab. You can buy this cap I have on here and this shirt in like 12 different colors.
That's shops. That's shop.hbcusports.com. So look, if you can't donate and if you want something in return, hey, you can help us by buying some merch. Okay. Jared, final thoughts, man, before we call it a wrap.
Yeah, I'm just excited for this. I'm very excited for this. This is as Chris said, the first of its kind. I'm excited to honor all of these athletes, administrators, and coaches. Congratulations to all the nominees for each of these awards. I'm excited to see all the people who are the winners, and I'm excited to learn from these awards so that we can come back better next year. And this is an exciting time for us. You know what I mean? I'm glad to be a part of this. I'm glad to be watching this, and my colleagues, to see this process unfold. And like I said, I'm just ready for July 27th. And I would be remiss if I didn't say this before we left. Rest in peace to Jacoby Jones, the former Lane College wide receiver great, Super Bowl champion with the Baltimore Ravens. He was announced. It was announced earlier this morning that he had passed away last night. And being that this award, these HBCU Sports Awards, is about acknowledging the greatness of HBCUs, it would be remiss if we did not say condolences to his family, his former teammates. The NFL community has come together in acknowledging him and honoring him. We've seen guys like former teammates Ray Lewis, Torrey Smith, J.J. Watt, two of whom are Hall of Fame caliber players. Former coach Mike Tomlin has, given his condolences to him and his family. Just a horrible loss for the HBCU community. We've had, a lot of tough losses over the past couple of years. So this is about acknowledging the greatness that has come from HBCUs, and just again, rest in peace to Jacoby Jones and condolences to his family.
All right. Before we go, one more time, the final time, visit HBCUSportsAwards.com. Make a donation. If you donate, regardless of the amount, you will be given VIP access to our backstage or to our virtual backstage during the live stream, which is where all of the other nominees will be staged and will, kind of be there to hang out. And depending on how much time we have after the show, we will have somewhat of a virtual after party after that, after the show, in which we'll be hanging out in the virtual room. So HBCU Sports Awards.com. Make a donation. Let's get your name on that wall, and you'll be glad that you did it. I'm Ken Rashad. He's Kendrick Marshall. He's Chris Stevens. He's Jared Carter. This is the HBCU Sports, a very special edition.
Jared Carter.
Not Jared Carter. That's a different guy.
I'm sorry. Shout out to Jared Carter, but Jared Hoffman. Just so you know, Jared Carter is the person who was responsible. Thank you, Kendrick. Jared Carter is the person who was responsible for kicking off the initial HBCU awards back during the HBCU Digest days. And as I've no problem admitting, Jared Carter is kind of the person who inspired me to come up with this idea just in the area of sports. So shout out to Jared Carter, by the way. Hope you're doing well, brother. Okay, let's do this again. I'm Ken Rashad. He's Kendrick Marshall. He's Chris Stevens. And he's Jared Hoffman.
Yes, Hoffman.
Of Bowie State fame. Okay. This is a very special edition of HBCU Sports Live. We will see you guys next time. God bless you. Thank you for taking a few minutes to join us for this announcement. And we'll see you next time. God bless you.